fight to claim the league's top prize. In the East, it's a rematch of last year's division final as the Owls host the Argos at the Big O.
Touchdown! Montreal is going to the Grey Cup.
Montreal dominated that day, but just 3 weeks ago, it was a desperate Argos squad who looked like the beast of the East.
Down the sideline he goes, all the way to the end zone. He takes it the distance.
Who's the top dog in the West? Only the Eskimos stand between the Riders and home field advantage in next week's Grey Cup.
He breaks through again. Look at that comeback. Again. What a run. Touchdown.
But Edmonton's potent attack looks to spoil that Rider party, determined to atone for last year's disappointment.
And there is no doubt now the Montreal Alouettes are going to win.
4 teams, 2 division finals, 1 prize. It's the CFL Live next. Good morning to football fans from coast to coast. Big day in this country. There's Olympic Stadium. It'll soon be filled to the rafters for the East Final, and then a little later on today, Commonwealth Stadium is the site for the West Final. The Riders and the Eskimos. The Final Four is upon us, and we're here to talk about it for the next 60 minutes. Hi, everybody. Dave Randorf, Chris Schultz, Matt Dunnigan, Jock Climby. The big game is all set for a week from today in Regina. A week from today, we'll have this show on the road, but we got to find out who's going to be playing in that game. The boys are all set to weigh in and tell you what they think. But as per last week, we've also got our roving reporters out at the scenes today. Over on the left of your screen, there's Leif Pedersen, the veteran at Olympic Stadium. Good morning, Leif. And there's Glenn. Now, Glenn, last week, he was out in the cold in Winnipeg. He was earning a lot of spurs. Everybody was impressed. Now you're inside.
Dave, Eskimo rules say we can't go on the field. It broke my heart, but we had to find another location.
That's bad. Get him out there.
Yeah, exactly. Glenn, you're supposed to be out in the elements, but we'll get back to you later. Leif and Glenn. But right now, I want to ask you guys. I mean, this. I've never been there. You guys have. What's going through the players' minds right now this morning?
Dave, the finality is staring them right in the face, and I think there's a lot of deep breaths, a lot of prayers going on. And what you have to do is you have to stick to your superstitions and your routine. And I tell you, you've got to get in that comfort zone. And the most important thing for these guys is to go out there and play the game one play at a time. Don't think about the end or the outcome, the finality. Just play the game and let the game come to you.
And that's so difficult because at this time, especially this morning, I mean, the guys are waking up and all of a sudden they're thinking, am I going to be the guy that makes the big play that takes my team to the Grey Cup? Or alternatively, am I going to be the guy that does something wrong and prevents my team from going? And that pressure is gut-wrenching.
That's exactly right. It's those two different types of mindsets. One of, I'm going to be the guy to make it, and I don't want to be the guy that blows it. But for the Canadian kids, this is huge. They've been watching it during their high school years, their college years, and for some of them, their entire pro years. They are one game away from participating in a Grey Cup. That is an immense difference.
But what you guys are talking about is that mentality of what you just explained there is what you have to stop from doing.
Absolutely.
You can't think about that. You just got to play the game and let the game come to you. And I think that's the way things will work out best.
All right, well, let's talk about these games, and we will start in the East. For the second straight year, it's going to be at Toronto and Montreal at Olympic Stadium. All's pretty quiet there right now, Leif, but that won't be the case for long, will it?
No, it's a very tranquil setting right now, Dave, here at Olympic Stadium. But around 4 o'clock this afternoon, when 60,000 people march through the turnstiles, it's going to be bedlam, and it's going to pose some serious problems for both teams. Now, the problems really start with the design of this facility here at Big O. And we're going to pan back and just show you the stands really aren't the problem. It's the slant of the roof. When 60,000 people are in here, the noise goes straight up, and with that slant, it comes right back down to the middle of the playing surface, and the noise, trust me, is deafening. I played here in the late 70s when they had 50,000 plus people. I couldn't hear the guy next to me in the huddle, let alone the quarterback signal. So if the Montreal fans are as sophisticated as I think they are, and they make noise at the appropriate times, it's going to pose some serious problems for the Argonauts. But they have some veterans who were here a year ago. They've been through it. They've seen it. And as Daryl Mitchell tells us, they know what to expect.
I experienced it last year, and I think the key for us offensively is to try to get some points early. We got to try to get that crowd out of the game, you know, so we can be able to hear and make our audibles and do whatever we have to do offensively and stay on the field enough to just give our defense and special teams some rest.
It was very loud for us when the offense was on the field. And but this year we're prepared for that. We have a silent count if we have to go to it. But other than that, we're going to be running our offense and having fun.
It's something special, you know. They always say that, you know, you always need the extra man on the field, and his 13th man is going to be something big. And our fans can get real, real loud, and we know that. And it's just going to be an adrenaline rush that you just got to sit back and try and stay away from, so you won't be overconfident going into the game.
Well, there you've heard it. The noise is going to be a factor, but for one group this afternoon, it's probably not going to be a big deal, and that's the defensive lines for both teams. And herein lies what I think is the key for the Toronto Argonauts this afternoon. Somehow they have to find a way to get pressure on Anthony Calvillo. Now, they had 5 sacks a week ago, but hey, let's face it, that BC line isn't like the line they're going to face today, but somehow if they can disrupt Calvillo early, and that's the key. I've seen him rattled, and he's a different quarterback when they can do that. They should have success, but I don't care if it's the best secondary in the league. If they're not going to get pressure, it's going to be very difficult to cover those Montreal receivers. But, you know, Matt Dunnigan, as I send it back to you, there is a way to solve this problem, and no one knows it better than you. Toronto's best defense could be their offense.
You're absolutely right, Leaf, and your point is well taken about the noise problems that the Big O provides. If Toronto can overcome that and control the line of scrimmage, much like they did in Week 18 by racking up 198 yards rushing and dominating the line of scrimmage in a victory there, 45-13, this is going to be critical for them to duplicate that game plan. And I think they've got to be successful there to limit the touches of Anthony Calvillo and the Montreal offense. And here we see them flatten that defense out. And when that happens, you bring the linebackers who like to come off the edge. They come off, they flatten out, and then as soon as you gut them up the middle, Michael Jenkins finds daylight into the secondary. And I think this is going to be critical for this football team. When you got a kid that rushes for over 5.2 yards a carry, I think this guy's got to get him involved and control that line of scrimmage.
And, of course, they went with a double tight end set for the running game, but also for the passing game. Interesting to see how Montreal contends with that in the blitz. But for my key of the game, it's all around 2 guys. It's about Copeland and Cahoon. These 2 guys have been fantastic all year long, and if the Argos do not find a way to control these 2, it will be game, set, and match for the Alouettes. How do you control them? Well, you got to get your hands on them early. You got to get them jammed at the line of scrimmage and be physical with them. And the other thing is, Ben Cahoon is one of the best, and it's underrated, but one of the best yards after the catch. He runs exceptionally well with the football. Argos have to learn how to tackle and tackle well if they hope to win today. You
know, guys, I think a lot of this football game will be determined about first quarter success. 60,000 people, divisional playoff game. The team that scores that first touchdown, it gives them an extra boost of confidence, and it removes any doubt. And I think it's critical for the Montreal Alouettes because they're the team going in there with the high level of expectations that they're supposed to dominate. So as long as this game stays close, I think the Toronto Argonauts have a bigger and better chance, Dave.
And in the first quarter last year in this game, Montreal scored a touchdown with their defense. One of 2 defensive touchdowns they scored in the game that was taken by the Alouettes. So we'll see if they can turn that stat around today in Montreal. They got to hang on to the ball. That's been a problem for Toronto all season long. We'll talk more about this game later on, but after the break, we're going to turn our attention to the Riders, the Rider Nation, trying to bring it home for the big party next week. That's next on Countdown to the Grey Cup.
Join ESPN Classic Canada for a week of Grey Cup classics as we revisit the best teams, players, and moments of the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. Classic Grey Cup Week begins Monday, November 10th, only on ESPN Classic Canada.
Just outside the 20 with the first down. 4-yard gain. Green hasn't taken off until now, but it's wide open as he sprints to the end zone. He's there. Here it comes. Situation. Green. The touchdown toss. Yes. Travis Moore. Eskimos have the ball. They have to drive against the wind and need a touchdown or a field goal for victory. Touchdown, Saskatchewan. This one is over.
Best defense in the league right here, baby.
2nd and 13. Ricky Ray into the end zone, touchdown. Scott Robinson. And here's Pringle, big hole, Mike Pringle to the end zone, touchdown. As he treats them after every Century game, Ray looking into the end zone, Tucker, touchdown. 2nd and 5, ninth play of the drive. Ray rolls into the end zone, touchdown, Terry Vaughn.
2 regular season meetings between those two, and as you just saw there, each one on their home field. Saskatchewan and Edmonton set to go in the Western Final today. Let's bring in Glenn Suter to talk a little bit more about this one. Glenn, you know when you go out for dinner with your wife, I don't know about you, it takes my wife about an hour to pick which shoes she's going to wear. You know, does your wife do this? Liz do this?
She does that.
Drives
she goes
you crazy.
All the shoes.
Drives you nuts.
Yeah.
And I'm reading it and talking to people about this game. It's all about the shoes. What is this?
Dave, anytime you play a game at Commonwealth Stadium in November, the issue of the field conditions will come up. It was the #1 topic of discussion for the Saskatchewan Roughriders as they got off the bus yesterday. Now, Danny Barrett said that for the first time in his career in the CFL, both as a player and a coach, the visiting team was allowed to walk out on the field. The Saskatchewan Roughriders did not practice on Commonwealth, but they did get a chance to walk out on the field, take a close look at the conditions, and try on different pairs of shoes. So when we did talk to the players, obviously the conversation turned to the field conditions here at Commonwealth Stadium.
You know, we have great fans here, and, you know, we have a large fan base, and, you know, they make it tough for opposing offenses to hear their cadence, and also for whatever reason, and I don't understand it, a lot of these guys don't like our grass. I love it.
You know, I think the field's going to be in good shape. As long as there's grass out there and it's not too worn down, should be able to get fine traction. And, you know, both teams got to play in the cold. Both teams got to play on that field, so you just got to go out there and handle it the best you can.
Trying to get a feel for the grass at Commonwealth, the Riders ignored the Eskimos' request to stay off it until game day.
We're not going to destroy the field. Not today. We hope to destroy it tomorrow, scoring touchdowns.
Half the battle is won today, being able to get on that field, just to see it.
Now, with regards to the Saskatchewan Roughriders, after the semifinal, of course, the #1 topic of discussion has revolved around Kenton Keith and his tremendous performance. And as we watched Kenton Keith in that semifinal versus the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and you saw his style of running, a lot of people have started to compare him to a guy who played here with the Edmonton Eskimos a year ago, simply because of the way that Kenton Keith likes to cut back against the flow. He's reminded a lot of people of John Avery, who had over 14 yards rushing with the Edmonton Eskimos last year. Now, leading into this West Final game, because of that comparison, people are also saying that John Avery struggled in the Grey Cup game. Once the field here at Commonwealth froze over, Avery with those quick cuts had his problems. And in fact, when Edmonton had success running the football, it was with Troy Mills in the Grey Cup. Now, I talked to Marcel Belfait, the offensive coordinator for Saskatchewan. He disagrees with the comparison between Kenton Keith and John Avery. He thinks Keith is more of a weaving type of running back. And Matty, when it comes to the Edmonton Eskimos, they don't like to dip and doodle and chuck and jive and cut back. They like straight ahead power backs. Troy Mills draws back into the lineup for Edmonton.
You're absolutely right, Glenn. They're downhill, north-south running backs that play bigger than they are. They're about 210, 215, but they play bigger. And the Edmonton Eskimos like to employ this type and size of running back this time of season. They are downhill. Weather conditions, field conditions, which is much talked about, are nasty. So you want a guy that can take it right to you. You're not going to have anybody dancing in the hole. They're going to be coming straight downhill. And believe me, the Edmonton Eskimos feel good about their chances, because talking to Troy Mills and Mike Pringle during the blackout of Toronto, these guys way back then, Schultz, were talking about the importance of a running game this time of the year, and they distinctly feel they have an advantage there.
I think another advantage for the Eskimos is that defensive line. I think they have the best defensive line in the Canadian Football League. Biggest point being is they're not linebackers trying to be defensive linemen. These are pure line of scrimmage players. And their goal this week is to get Nealon Green out of his rhythm, to make him throw when they want him to throw, not when Nealon Green wants to throw. Hey, sacks are great. Hits on quarterbacks are great, but if you create an urgency with that quarterback, then those patterns, they can't develop all the way. Instead of a down, out, and up, it's only a down and out, and that makes a big difference, John.
Well, Chris, for myself now, the key of the game leads exactly from your point to Saskatchewan's key of the game, and that's Nealon Green. You know, last week I said that all Saskatchewan needed from Nealon Green was a solid game. Not spectacular, not brilliant, but solid. And I think they got that. He had some timely runs, and he had some timely throws. He only had one turnover, and even though he was only 5 of 15, he played well enough and solid enough for them to get the win. That's not going to be good enough this week. He's going to need a lot more passes like this one in Dominguez that he had last week because he's going up against Ricky Ray. And Ricky Ray is not going to play mediocre football, and so Nealon Green's going to have the best game of his career, if they, in my opinion, if they're helped to win tonight.
Teams fight tooth and nail to host this game, the division final, and it's been a long time since Edmonton lost in the home field, but get a load of this stat. 12 of the last 16 West finals have been won by the road team.
Whoa.
It's unbelievable. One of those was a Northern Division final, but we try and forget that whole era ever happened. And it was Calgary and Edmonton anyway. We'll talk about the big games more as the show goes on, but after the break, we're going to turn our attention to a lot of the off-field issues that this league has seen over the past season. Welcome back. Let's turn our attention off the field for a moment here. And it was right around this time last year, pardon me, when Tom Wright was introduced as the new commissioner of the Canadian Football League. This is always a high-profile position, often criticized, and Tom Wright has surely met his fair share of challenges in his first season on the job. And in the opinion of many, he's met each and every one of them. Here's a look back at just some of the challenges that Wright has faced this past season.
There's a series of different elements that every strong CFL franchise has. First of all, it has strong and committed and long-standing ownership. Secondly, there's an equal commitment to strong leadership in the management ranks. I think those are some of the fundamentals in terms of how the Toronto situation is addressed.
Well, on behalf of the Board of Governors of the Canadian Football League, I'm announcing effective today that the Canadian Football League is taking over control and leadership of the Toronto franchise for the CFL in this city.
This is a part of business. Sport is a business. Today is more of a business than ever before.
For the better part of a decade, both George and David, gave their heart and soul and there's certainly all the resources to try to, to support football in Hamilton, the fans, the players, and one of our oldest franchises. And of course they feel terrible about the situation.
We understand it's a tough situation. We understand we are part of the problem. We know we're not the whole problem, but we are part of the problem. And we need to rectify what we can, and that's on the football field.
My premise was, were they making enough mistakes, enough obvious mistakes, that if you fixed the obvious mistakes, could you turn this into a profitable business?
You heard Bob talk about the stadium experience, the fan experience, how exciting it has to be at the game. We have to make sure that we treat this as not only a great game, but entertain and provide our fans with great value.
When we set our profile for owners in both Hamilton and Toronto, we wanted them to be community-oriented, as I said, and strong financially, but really with a commitment to the city and a commitment to the league, and we're moving very closely to being able to do the same and announce the same kind of thing in Toronto.
We have the funds to commit to radio, we have the funds to commit to marketing. Those are the easy things. The harder will be to connect with the fans on a one-on-one basis.
The Argos can be the president's choice, the leading brand in the country, a very high-quality product offered at a reasonable price.
I love the CFL. I believe in the product, and I know it can work here in Toronto. The opportunity to rekindle the flame of this storied franchise was an opportunity that, quite honestly, was just too good to pass up.
That guy used to be our boss. Right. I guess he still is for about a week or so, but
what did you say here?
Yeah, so he is now the president of the Toronto Argonauts, and that was the most recent announcement. There was other things that Tom Wright dealt with, the blackout situation. It goes on and on and on. But let's get your reaction on how his job was handled.
Well, you got to ask a question. What are the priorities for new ownership in the Canadian Football League? Well, how about an intelligence, a presence, and a plan, or the financial resources to get you through the good times, the bad times, and everywhere in between? How about a passion for the Canadian Football League and no other football league? How about your citizenship being Canadian? Both Howard Sokolowski and David Simon have those qualities. But then also Bob Young. If this situation in Toronto was not alleviated, the problem would have been halfway fixed and the perception still would have been negative. Instead, it's the exact opposite. And Matty, I'll tell you, I hate to sound like a big cheerleader, but I am impressed.
You're a huge cheerleader.
I'd be a huge cheerleader. I'd be a Guinness World Book of Records cheerleader. But the situation now comes really from a solid base of foundation.
That's right, and I think that starts with Tom Wright, and I think he was willing and saw early on, before the public certainly knew that these franchises were in the trouble they were, Tom took the league under his wing and said, we're going to take 2 steps back before we go forward. And he's did it in a way that is very eloquent and without the circus affair around it. Tom was quiet when he had to be and spoke up when he needed. And within 15 weeks, he's righted the ship of the Canadian Football League and put us on the track. And I say us because we're all in this together. He's put us on the right track, and I think everybody feels comfortable with the situation we're in now.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm still shaken up by that image of Schultz in the cheerleader outfit, but I'll get past that. In the meantime, let's look back at some of the sounds of the game back on the field that the Toronto and Montreal provided us this season.
Sounds of the game.
Are ready for a show today? 3 inches short, watch.
Okay.
Want to put some money on? Want to put some money on?
No, man, I can't gamble.
I don't know where. All I know is 37. Hauled ass out there.
Please call me outside when you see it. Thank you so much, okay?
Guys, a little sense of urgency, huh? Come on, let's have some pride. Let's go. Relax out there, in and out of the little tempo. Texas, we cannot hang with us if we execute. Hey, you football game.
Await the winner of this Western semifinal matchup. Well, let's see if Saskatchewan can get dancing. Looking for their first down. Wide open. And there's Matt Dominguez down the sidelines. And it's a touchdown, Saskatchewan. Kenton Keith breaks through again. Look at that cutback. Again. What a run. Touchdown. Kenton Keith. That a thing of beauty. The Riders making the statement here this evening in Winnipeg. They're headed for Edmonton, winning this Western semifinal on the running of Kenton Keith.
130 yards from Kenton Keith, 3 touchdowns. He was front and center last week. Glenn, it's been no secret Saskatchewan's been the top running team all season long, and guys like Keith get a lot of the headlines, but as I'm reminded all the time by Chris Schultz, it's the boys up front that often make it happen.
Right. Well, yeah, Dave. I mean, remember last week in that semifinal, they were playing the #1 run defense in the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in the regular season, rushed for 200 yards. So you know the big guys up front had to be getting the job done. Now, before the season ended, I got a chance to hang out with the Saskatchewan offensive line. And in that meeting, we made the focus something that is near and dear to an offensive lineman's heart: food.
They are the big boys of the green and white. On average, they stand 6'3" and weigh in at 300 pounds. Collectively, they're the foundation of the CFL's #1 rushing unit. And now they're 1 game away from playing in the Grey Cup in their home park. So what makes the Riders' offensive line such a strong, cohesive unit? I invited them out for dinner on TSN's tab to find out.
How much, when you guys get out here on the road, do you hang out together as a group?
We've always been a tight group up front. I think just things like this, we're always together. before the games, we always meet as a whole group, even away from the team. It's almost like we're all brothers. We're all cracking jokes on each other all the time, and pretty much say whatever we want to each other, and we don't get too personal, you know.
There's a team in the CFL this year that won just one football game, and it happened to be against the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Now, I know this is a tight-knit group. You don't want to point fingers, but one of y'all tried to
make something happen?
Yeah, got her hands on the football.
Okay. I don't know how it ended up on the ground in the first place, you know, but now's the time to explain to us.
The whole nation's watching.
We've been waiting for an answer for about, I don't know how many weeks now. I was just trying to make a play, man. Ball popped up, running, turned around, saw Gino. If you watch the film, you'll see him just like this. Looking, and I looked him right in the eye. You know what it's like when it's on the field. You know what it's like, right? You look right in the eye, like, hey, you know, that's my tackle. You know what? I was trying to give the O-line a little bit of glory, you know, a little bit of light, you know. Here you go, you know.
Why don't we take a look at the menu? Order whatever you want. TSN's buying, and this could be a hefty bill.
Peppercorn steak. Are these wings hot?
And are you all right with Alfredo linguine?
I'm going to start with the shrimp cocktail Caesar.
That's a straight calamari, right?
The 10 ounce?
Barbecue wings, Thai chicken stir fry.
Do you want some prawns or mushrooms or anything to go with that tonight? Yeah? All right.
And tell them to season the meat up, too.
Season it? Okay.
I'm sensing that it's an important part for the O-line is replenishing and keeping your weight up. And that's not easy in an 18-game long season, is it?
I think some of us have more problems keeping their weight on the others. I know Gino has to eat. I mean, he eats at halftime, he eats before. I mean, he's always eating.
Medium with mashed potatoes.
It all of a sudden got very quiet at the O-line table the moment the food showed up. What would it mean to you, and I'll just throw it out there, to win the Grey Cup championship?
Well, I think the guy to start with would probably be Gino. He's been here the longest and with the same team. You know, I think a lot of my joy would come through seeing these guys win a Grey Cup. You know, we've gone through like a lot of losing seasons, and it's like every time you step out there, you know, that's what you fight for every play. You know, every game is to get to the top.
I mean, it'd be good for us to, you know, now we finally have a winning record, you know, take that next step.
We all set a common goal at the beginning of the year, and to be able to get it with this group, that'd be awesome. And I also want to win it for the fans of Saskatchewan. It's so great to us.
Hi. Could you make me a steak just like the first?
Another
one? Yeah. But to go though.
What can they say about your weight when the season's over?
Hey, Nikki, he wants one too.
We are. I guess this is for you.
Yes, and it scares me. It's scaring me.
Thank you very much. I hope you all had a wonderful time tonight. Hope you enjoyed your dinner.
Oh, yeah.
The big boys can chow down. By the way, Andrew Green, you heard him right at the end there, order another steak. That wasn't just for the cameras. Andrew Green actually ordered another steak, and Jeremy O'Day just said, just before we were leaving, he said, you know, he takes that steak home, puts it under his pillow, and eats it in the middle of the night. I talked to Marcel Belfay, the offensive coordinator for the Saskatchewan Roughriders yesterday. He said the offensive line to a man graded out over 95% in the semifinal game versus the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. It was their best football of the season. Schultze, these guys are playing together.
Right.
They're a tight-knit group, and over 95% across the board. That's top-notch for an offensive line.
That is top-notch, but I want to go back to that Marcel Belfay comment because he developed a running back in Kenton Keith that fits the style so perfectly with that offensive line. Basically, on every running play, you have a point of attack, you have a front side, and you have a back side. But with Kenton Keith, you never know where that young man's going to go. All of a sudden, what a play may be designed to go over the right tackle can bend all the way back to the left tackle and the opposite way, from left tackle all the way back to the right tackle. And what does that do? It means every single one of those 5 starting offensive linemen, every single running play is at point of attack. that really creates a higher level of urgency and a belief that you could be the guy that makes the key block to spring Kenton Keith. It's a great, interesting balance between the style and the ability of that offensive line.
Yeah, that SAS goal line will be in the focus today. But to be fair, let's point out that Edmonton's O-line allowed a league-low 25 sacks this season. They're probably sitting there thinking, hey, we got a pretty good line ourselves. So two great offensive lines battling in the trenches today at Commonwealth Stadium. We got to take another break, and as we go, let's hear about some of the noises that both these teams made over the course of the season.
Sounds of the game.
Let's go, baby!
Make sure you give me room to work today, okay? Because I move quick, all right? Give me room.
I'm in the stand. I'm just chilling, you know. When he broke it, though, I'm back on my heel. Oh, hey, ain't nothing. You can't run on me now.
That was a hell of a catch.
How the way to battle in there. How the way to battle in there, big dog. How the way to reach. Let's go! Let's go!
40,000 plus came to see the show today.
Yeah! Oh, yeah!
Again inside to Jenkins. And this time cuts it back for good yardage. Throw again. Looking downfield to a wide open Jermaine Copeland. See ya. To the dance. 35. Calvillo with time. And the man, Ben Cahoon, touchdown. Calvillo. Downfield for Copeland. This one underthrown, but Copeland adjusts and he has it. And he's in.
Second and 7. Marcus Brady. Wide out. Catch made by Mitchell. Is it a touchdown? Yes, it is. That's the house again. But this time they cross it out. And Michael Jenkins has got some room. Cuts back. He's still on his feet. And he is brought down at the 5. Tony Miles had an excellent first half and starts the second with the bag. Down the sideline he goes. To the end zone, he takes it the distance. What a start to the third quarter for the Argos.
Two meetings in the regular season, Leaf. Both blowouts, one for the Argos, one for the Alouettes. And what are we like, over 5 hours away? They've already got the music cranked up there in Montreal?
I'll tell you what, it's only 10:30 here, but the party started. I don't know if you could hear in the background, the music's going. The cheerleaders are out here warming up already. That's a good thing. But I'll tell you, you look at the Alouettes, and what a magical year for two receivers, Jermaine Copeland and Ben Cahoon. Boy, oh boy, 211 catches between them. That's phenomenal, and 27 touchdown receptions. You know, I like to look at what has each receiver done against a team they're going to play. Against Toronto in 2 games, each receiver has 17 catches in 2 games. Just a phenomenal season. And yesterday, I had the chance to sit down and speak with both of them.
And guess who? Jermaine Copeland. C'est Jermaine Copeland. Ben Cahoon. Cette tapée spectaculaire. Jermaine Copeland. Catch for Ben Cahoon.
Cahoon has another touchdown. To the dance.
I'm sure you both would be much more comfortable talking about team successes than individual successes, but in light of the fact that you both had terrific years, Jermaine, you over 1,500 yards leading the league in yardage, and Ben with 112 catches, #1 in the league in that department, we have to go there a little bit. Was there a point for each of you when you said to yourself during the season, you know what, this could turn out to be something pretty special?
Well, me, myself, actually, it started before the season. It started back at home before I even came to training camp. You know, I said, hey, if I can get to training camp, I was going to try my best to do anything I could to be in the top 3 in the league. And I knew coming to training camp would also help with being success. I mean, you know, whenever you got 2 guys on the opposite side of the field that's going to work and out there trying to be playmakers throughout the whole season, you know, it causes a lot of ruckus, and we've really been causing a whole lot of ruckus all year.
Was there a point for you, Ben, that you felt like this was going to be pretty neat?
No, my season's kind of been. It was a point where I thought Cope's season was going to be real neat, and that was about third game, Saskatchewan. He came back and had 3 touchdowns in the 4th quarter.
I remember.
And just phenomenal, getting behind the defense, and just Anthony was just chucking the ball up, and Jermaine was coming down with it, and I just thought that the dude is special. But Copeland's led the league everywhere he's gone.
Yeah.
The XFL, #1 in the league. NFL Europe, no, he's green. Everywhere he's gone. So this is old hat for him.
You know, for me as a former receiver, it's just great to see when receivers and quarterbacks click so well. How has it developed for you in AC?
It's developed a lot. I really think the training camp helped me out a whole lot. You know, I got here to like the last 5 games of last year's season, and I really didn't have a whole lot of time to get on one accord with him. But this year, getting there early really helped us develop and, you know, get the timing down for a full 18 games. And it was something special, and it's really not hard to get on one accord with AC as long as you just catch the ball and stay focused. It's real easy to get on one accord with it.
Ben, we think of you as a great receiver, regardless of nationality, American, Canadian, but when you reflect back, it must feel pretty special to know that no other Canadian receiver has caught more passes than your 112 this year.
It is special, and it's just been that kind of a year. It's been a year that I've benefited from Anthony's phenomenal ability, obviously, and Jermaine. We worked with each other and for each other at times, and we've had a struggling running game, so that's helped us both out as well. So it's just been a crazy year and a lot of fun.
It's been a good year, 13-5, Eastern Final, not bad.
If you say so. The 13-5 I really don't like, but, you know, it's all good.
Well, that's not bad. Now, nobody likes losing.
Exactly.
But you lost in Toronto badly in October, and you maybe at that time felt you'd meet them again in the Eastern Final. Was maybe losing that game not a bad thing to refocus for tomorrow's game?
I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
I love the fact that we lost and the fact that we got thumped, because you're not going to approach this game in a cocky manner at all, because we know that they can beat us and beat us bad if we don't take care of our business and if we're not on top of our game. So we have a tremendous amount of respect for our opponent, and I like going into a game with that approach.
They've got a pretty good secondary. You've got a great receiving core. What happens tomorrow?
It's going to get ugly. You know me, I'm going to tell the truth. It's going to get ugly. We're so on page right now. I'm talking about it. Seems like we've had the best week of practice throughout the whole season. Guys have been going full speed after the catch, before the catch, and it's beautiful just to see us out there having fun again like we did earlier in the season. And I'm really expecting the offense to be on one accord, and if so, it could be real ugly out there.
Well, listen, we appreciate you being with us, and best of luck to both of you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
What strikes me as so impressive about these two is they're absolutely unselfish. You know, each one works as hard when they're not going to get the ball as when they think they're going to, and that makes for a great receiving core and for opportunities for the other receivers, Woodcock and Kwame Cavill. And Jock, as I send it back to the studio, I think no one knows these two better than you, because you were a teammate of both of them.
Yep, no, absolutely right. I played with both of them, and what you said is right. They are very unselfish. Of course, it's easy to be unselfish when you're throwing the ball 40 times a game and you're getting the lion's share of that. But even when they're not getting the football, these guys always work hard. But you know, the other thing that they do very well, they both catch the football. And you heard Jermaine say that as long as you're catching the football, you're going to be on the same page with Cavill. That's very important to him. The other thing that they do well, Ben Cahoon in particular, is he runs great double cut routes. This year, he's coming down the field, he's going out and swirling back in, or going in and swirling back out. And this route has been very effective for them, and I'll be looking for that and see if they had success with that tonight.
Jack, and you talk about Cahoon, you talk about Copeland. They've bought into the system, and yes, Copeland has been there for training camp, which has done wonders for AC and his timing. But it's the other receivers, too, that have to buy into the system and know their role within that system. It's Pat Woodcock, it's Dave Stala, Sylvain Gerard, and Kwame Cavill. that are ultimately as responsible for Cahoon and Copeland's success as well as the rest of the Montreal Alouettes. This is a receiving corps that knows that anytime Anthony Calvillo can dish the ball to them, and they all have to be unselfish and go out there and execute play after play, and it's been working for them.
And as everybody remembers, Woodcock made that signature play of last year's Grey Cup, the 99-yard pass reception for the TD, with a win over Edmonton. When we come back, Jock, this guy, Terry Vaughn, I thought you're supposed to slow down as your career goes on. He's just getting better and better, and we're going to talk about TV next. Welcome back to Countdown to Grey Cup. Let's head back out in the West where Glenn Suter is at Commonwealth Stadium live, and let's talk about Terry Vaughn, a guy you talk about an awful lot through the course of the season. Glenn, as always, 9 straight years with 1,000 yards receiving, a career season in his 9th year with over 1,500 yards. Like I just said before the commercial break, he's not slowing down, he's getting better.
No, he certainly isn't, Dave. And you look at the Edmonton Eskimos franchise, they averaged over 40,000 fans this year. Their locker room facilities, this stadium rivals that of any in pro sports in North America. 32 consecutive years this football team has made the playoffs. That's not a pro football record, that's a pro sports record. This city embraces the Canadian Football League. They embrace their team, and because of that, players that come to play for Edmonton like to plant roots and stay in the community. Superstar Terry Vaughn is one of those players.
Yards after the catch, and he is the best in the business at it.
Terry Vaughn has another one.
I didn't think I would be here for 9 years, but it sort of worked its way out like that.
Has it ever? Since Vaughn entered the CFL in '95, all he's ever known is 1,000-yard seasons. A record 9 straight years, to be exact. The 3-time All-Canadian, born on Christmas Day, has been a bit of a savior for the Edmonton Eskimos.
Game day is it for me. The adrenaline gets pumping on game day. That's when I'm ready.
And there's Terry Vaughn.
I'm going to work hard and get, practice at a good tempo, but it's all for the game.
It's also for the fans. Edmonton has welcomed Vaughn with open arms since his arrival in 1999. In that time, the Eskimos have won the Western title 3 times and are knocking on the door for another Grey Cup. Vaughn himself has planted some roots. He's opened Terry Vaughn's Sports Lounge.
The restaurant itself is great. I mean, it's making money, and we're doing fine, and I'm enjoying it. I'm learning.
What's the deal on how to pour the beer?
I have the business experience and the education, and I know that my husband's focus is football. As his wife, he trusts me, and he trusts that my experience will help keep this business afloat and keep it successful in his absence.
She has the brains. Without her, we probably wouldn't be doing as well as we are.
The Vaughns have adopted the family atmosphere that they've experienced in football and brought it to their business. He's always there talking to customers and signing autographs.
Hurry up.
Good luck tomorrow night.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
But he leaves the hands-on aspect of the restaurant to the employees, and for good reason.
I suck at the pouring the beer.
He comes in quite a bit. He, is curious about the business. He's learning a lot about it. And then you see him on TV and you forget who he is, and you forget. And then people come in, they're quite awestruck to see him. But he's one of the guys around here.
Like, he wants it family-oriented. Like, you're going to know me, my family, and I want to know you and your family. Like, he met my husband. My husband doesn't even work here.
I love the people. I've met some great people here. The city has been, really supportive of me in every way, as far as my business goes and playing football. And, I can't thank the city enough, I guess.
I'm sure a Grey Cup ring would be plenty thanks enough.
That was good. That was good. I like that.
Yeah, Glenn, what can you say about Terry Vaughn?
Yeah, well, Dave, you mentioned 9 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. He's played in 9 playoff games, 5 Western finals. Throughout those 9 playoff games, he's averaged 80 yards per game in the 9 playoff games. Terry Vaughn has been a catalyst for this football team all season long. Not just used in the passing game either. He's used in that shovel series with Ricky Ray, which is really a glorified run. He's always the guy that kickstarts this offense. If they're struggling rushing the football, they go to Terry Vaughn. If they're struggling throwing it, they go underneath to Terry Vaughn. He has been the catalyst, and Dave, this guy is going to be the catalyst. I look to him to make the big plays against the Saskatchewan Roughriders for Edmonton again.
Yeah, no question about that. But Glenn, the one thing I noticed, you're doing all these stories where there's free food and free beers. Is that what is with that?
I'm trying to combine work with pleasure.
Okay.
It's working out just
all right.
nicely.
Fair enough. Well, thank you very much, Glenn. We'll check in with you one more time before we check out. Weather is going to be a factor only in one of the games. Obviously, Olympic Stadium indoors won't be a factor there. Here are the conditions for the game today in Edmonton. It's going to be cold, but certainly not too cold, and we're told the field is nowhere near as slick as it was for last year's Grey Cup.
Countdown to the Grey Cup on TSN is brought to you in part by Wendy's, the official hamburger of the CFL. Wendy's, it's better here. And by Molson Canadian. I am Canadian.
All right, this show's almost done. Next time you see us, we will be coming to you live from Taylor Field in Regina as the countdown of the Grey Cup has its final installment a week today, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. All right, just time enough to go around the horn for some final thoughts. We'll begin in Montreal with Leaf Pedersen. The Leaf, Don Matthews, got a contract extension this week, and as always, he's going to be a factor today.
Well, I think he will. You know, Dave, you look at a game of this magnitude, and is there anybody better than Don Matthews at making decisions and adjustments throughout a game? I don't think so, and I think really with Toronto-Montreal today, they have an edge just because of that. Now, Glenn, you told me all season you're tough. Today, I'm disappointed you're indoors. What's up, man?
Hey, I had to play by the rules, Leaf. You know how that works. The Eskimos made me come inside, really. Now, you know, I only got a chance to play in one Western final, and I remember the sense of urgency, the excitement going into that football game. Danny Barrett said something interesting yesterday. He said, our team needs to stay composed. I'd like to take that a step further and say that I think the key for this game will be that both teams' composure has to stay at an even keel. Good and bad, Jock, will happen in this game to both teams. The officiating could be a factor. The weather could be a factor. The team that can keep their composure through the bad times will likely be the team that wins.
And that's why I think Edmonton has the edge, because they have Mr. Composure at quarterback. Ricky Ray is positively unflappable, and I have to give the Eskimos the edge for that reason. Now, turning to Toronto and Montreal, you know, that Toronto win a couple weeks ago was misleading. Montreal was playing a rookie defensive back who got positively toasted time and time again. Montreal has all their DBs healthy, and they've got Cavillo, who's now healthy. He wasn't healthy in that game. Got to go with Montreal in that one, Matty.
Okay, Jock, and let me talk about the keys to the Edmonton-Saskatchewan game. We've talked about the running games for both teams, but I want to talk about the importance of the challenge that the Saskatchewan secondary faces in a healthy Edmonton receiving corps. Last week, they faced the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who were decimated with injury. This week's challenge is going to be much bigger than last week's. Montreal, Toronto, look for Montreal's team speed to be a factor in this football game as they're playing on a fast track in Montreal.
Hey, absolutely, Matty. I mean, in the Canadian Football League this year, 53 times the home team won during the regular season, only 27 times a visitor. And if I'm one of the leaders of Montreal Edmonton, I'm reminding my players, hey, we won the division, guys. Let's be confident in this football game. We deserve to be here. Right now is the type of game where you can enhance that confidence, Dave.
Well, we're out of time. All that's left are the football games to decide who will play for the Grey Cup next Sunday. Saskatchewan at Edmonton, Toronto at Montreal. Enjoy the games, everybody, and we'll talk to you next week from Taylor Field in Regina. You are watching TSN, Canada's sports leader. Goes on, so weather is supposed to be just